say this morning is not going to be a huge surprise to anybody, because we all know that within the week after we leave Moms with Swords, there's going to be something that Joy said, and we're going to go, oh my gosh, that's exactly what Joy said on Thursday. So sure enough, that happened to me last Thursday, just a few hours after Moms with Swords. Joy told a story about John William and about a little incident I think that he observed where some kids were name calling, and she shared that he just combated that attack with 1 Peter 3:9. And when she was telling that, I don't know why that stuck with me. It wasn't like the main idea of her lesson that day, but it really just registered with me. And I found out why later. So I'll read the verse to you. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but with blessing, because this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. So I wrote that down because I thought, I'm going to need to use that later at some point. So sure enough, I'm sitting on the couch with Garrett, and we're just spending a little time together, and he tells me a story. He's like, Mom, there was some name calling going on, and we talked a little bit about it. And I said, well, how do you think you respond to a situation like that? Because I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, here's my moment. This is what Joy talked about. And he said, well, I guess you just call him a brat back, because, that's what the big kids do. And I thought, okay, I just need to pack it all up, because I've totally failed this kid, and, I've lost. But I said, no, that's not how we handle the situation. And what Joy really said was, are you giving your kids your opinion, or are you giving your kids the word? Because, if we're giving them our opinion, that's only going to go so far. But the word, our opinions will change. The word is not going to change. And that's what has been really impressed upon me over the week. Like, I've been to the mats with God on this week. And like Susan said, it was really a small moment, but through that small moment, God has done a big work in my heart, and I see it starting to come out in my family and in my kids. So I shared this verse with him, and we talked about what it really means to not repay evil for evil. And even though that's what our impulses tell us, sometimes, we want to do, and that's how we feel in the moment, that's not what we're called to do. And it's a big deal to me to teach my kids to be set apart from the world. That's so hard for our kids, because they want to fit in, and they want to be a part of what's going on, and they want to be liked. And I understand that, because I feel the same way, but we are called to be set apart. And this is really a big way as Christians that we can do that. So it was really important for me to kind of drive this home with him. I shared this verse with him, and Garrett is my rule follower. He's pretty obedient. I have a 2-year-old, and for those people who know him, he's my rule breaker, and Garrett is my rule. So I have one of each. So I'm very thankful to have a good mix. But his face, he said, Mama, I did not know this was God's rule. I just thought it was yours. So I gave him a little grace, and then I'm like, well, if it's my rule, you still need to be following it. But but for him to understand that my rules and my husband's rules are rooted in the Word, it's a real game changer. I mean, because like I said, it's not gonna, this Word, like what Susan used to support what she was trying to ingrain in her child, it's not gonna change. It has been, and it always will be. And no matter who tries to refute this Word, it doesn't change. So we always have that to fall back on. And like I said, our opinions will change, culture will change and tell us what's right and wrong. But what's right and wrong has never changed, and it will never be any different. So fast forward to Sunday, I'm kind of working through this, and God is really dealing with my heart, because as a confession, I'm not as dedicated to my quiet times. Sometimes they're really quick. Sometimes they're like 3 minutes long. Sometimes I read something on my email, and I'm like, okay, check. It's just something I kind of do sometimes, and then other days I dig into it. So God's really been telling me, you can't pour the Word into your children until you let me pour it into you. You've got to get with me on a more regular basis and spend more time with me, so that you can do what you need to do as a mom. So Sunday morning, we're so late for church, like 15 minutes late, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to go in. They're doing communion, and I'm like, well, we can't walk in communion. I really kept wanting to leave, but we didn't. So I go and I sit down and I pull out my sermon notes. And I almost fell out of my chair. The sermon title was "The Bible is Sufficient." And I was like, whoa, like, Lord, you are really going to a lot of trouble and involving a lot of people and trying to teach me this, because it's like he keeps trying to tell me my word is what you need. It's what you need as a mom. And I keep saying, I ask people all the time, what advice would you give? What advice would you give? But it's like God keeps saying my word. So our pastor shared a scripture. He shared a lot of scripture, but the one I thought, oh my gosh, yes, that's what I need to talk about. It is 2 Timothy 3, verse 16. And it is, all scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. And I'm like, this is my instruction book. Like, this is it. This is our instruction book. I saw a sign on 92 the other day, and it said, parenting doesn't come with instructions. And I thought, yeah, it does. So anyway, it was a big moment for me. So I've really, it has been a struggle for me, to know that I have shortcomings, but the good news is we serve a God who doesn't have shortcomings, and he's given us all the instructions. So that's it.